I used to be in construction finance, and well, now I'm a software engineer working in the biotech industry, and the thing that got me into the industry is the same thing that is continuing to let me progress. See, when I was working in construction, it was somebody that I knew who was genuinely invested in my growth, who opened the door and sort of showed me the direction to go, and then when I got the job, I had somebody that I looked up to who, yet again, showed me the way, had done the things that I was struggling with, and helped me become the software engineer I am today. But eventually he had to move on as well, so I needed a strategy for continuing to progress without somebody helping me up, because I mean, whether that person leaves you or you just become the biggest fish in the pond, then you've got nobody to look up to, right? You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a speech about this where, I'm not going to click on it because it's going to have some cringe Sigma male grind set copyrighted music in it, but essentially he talks about how you've got this hyper-masculine culture at the minute of like the lone wolf going monk mode, just abandoning everybody and just focusing on your goal and actively pursuing it. And normally those videos use him as the guy who is the lone wolf, who's made it to the top of the pack. Well, in the speech he basically says, no, that's the furthest from the case. You know, he was an immigrant that moved to America, and the only reason that he had plates to eat on is he went to his local gym and somebody asked him like, oh, like, how are you finding things? He was like, oh, I literally have to eat out the pan. I can't even afford pots and plates. So people from the gym came and brought them to him, and he describes his life from there basically being a string of similar events where a friend got him in the room where he needed to be so that he could become the person he wanted to be. So in this video I'm going to cover how networking can get you your first job, or if you're already in a job, help you leverage that next step, and why having a mentor will allow you to outperform everyone around you. And then lastly, I'll talk about the strategy that keeps you on top once you get there. Right, so early networking. I think where a lot of people get stuck is like, right, what's step one? Because I mean, I could give you the high level, okay, here's the things that you need to achieve, but then you just end up paralyzed with the complexity of all the different things that you can do, and that just doesn't help. So I'm going to literally give you the first step. Presumably, if we're focusing here on software engineering, this could be applied to anything. We need to build that network. What is it about software engineering that interests you? Who is it in your circles that you know that are into it? You need to meet people in the niche. So you might have a step down. You might be friends with a bunch of software engineers. Fair. Step one's complete. But, I mean, you can always expand that circle, and the way you expand it is the same way that you start it. First of all, look at your personal network. Are there people in that group where they're software engineers? Cool. If that's only one person, that's all you need to get started. If you don't have that one person, stereotype software engineers. What is the average software engineer like? If you want to go from like a fitness perspective, to stereotype is that we all like bouldering. I go bouldering, so I'm not saying that everybody's gonna, but I bet if you went to a bouldering gym and you start going regularly, you would bump into people who are software engineers, and that gets the ball rolling, right? Otherwise, games events, Comic-Cons, you name it. Just think of something nerdy, because most of us are nerds. Now, once you've met that one person, or the 5 people, if they're a software engineer, they work with software engineers. They probably socialize with other software engineers. Try and actually get to know that person. Even if it's not even if that person isn't the person that ends up becoming your best mate, it doesn't really matter. That's not the goal here. They might have six friends who are in software engineering, and one of those people you might just really get along with. But until you reach out and say, hey man, like, do you hang out with any other software engineers? Like, are there any people you could introduce me to? You don't know, but that's literally the steps that will get you to building a network of people. And once you have that network, that's where the kicker comes in. There's going to be certain people who are just completely blind to everyone else around them. They're climbing. They're on their Sigma male grind set, whatever you want to call it. And then there's going to be some people who have reached where they want to get. They don't want to trade more hours of their lives to get higher. They're just quite happy with what they're doing. And a lot of those people find value in looking around them and seeing how they can help people, because I think there's a natural inclination to get to a point where you have the sort of midlife crisis, whether it's in your mid-20s, 30s, or 40s, where you think, am I just working for the sake of working, or is there a purpose? And people find purpose in helping other people. Those are the people that are going to be genuinely interested in your growth. And if you can meet that person and ask them the questions like, what would you do if you were me? How can I get to where you are? What are the steps? How can I get that first job? I really want that promotion, but I haven't gone for a promotion before. I don't know the steps. These are the kinds of people that are going to give you that information. It's going to be better than what you find online, because the problem with the things that you find online is they're generic. You know, they're applied to everybody, whereas this person at this point is going to know you and is going to be able to give personalized advice. So that's sort of like the depth. You've got probably a person, maybe a couple of people who are giving you quite targeted advice, but that's not the only purpose for having a large network. That's That's the purpose of having a large enough network that you have some strong people that can help you, but also the breadth will help a lot. Those people, you need to keep them aware of what you're up to. Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for your first job? Because if you know 20 people now who are software engineers, and one of their managers goes to them, business is booming, we're going to hire 5-10 people, 2 of those people can be apprentices, or 2 of those people could be entry-level roles, and they know that you're looking for an entry role, chances are that company probably does like a finding bonus where they get extra money just for recommending you. They're financially incentivized to know people like you. It works for both of you. And likewise, if you're looking for a promotion and your company just isn't handing it to you, and there's another hiring situation somewhere else, and that guy says, look, man, like, it sounds like what's going on in your company just isn't working out, but my company's hiring, I can tell them what a great guy you are, I know you. It's a lot easier to be already in that conversation than trying to just cold find a job, whether it's your first job or you're looking for a different job. But really, this is only sort of like level 1 of networking, right? Because when you have the job, look at the people in charge of your progression. Look at the people who are there, who are paid to help. If it's a senior, if it's a manager, a tech lead. Of those people who are genuinely interested in your growth, look at them and decide, who do I want to be? You know, whether you've got like some principal architect and the really nitty-gritty technical side interests you, or whether it's your manager because you really like the soft skill side of software engineering. Pick one of those people and bring some value to them. Tell them, look, man, like, I'm going through something at the minute. You've been in my role. You've done my job. How was that? One of the things that I struggled with recently is I lost my mentor who moved to a different company, and you know, actually just the act of losing my mentor in itself was something that I hadn't been through before, and it was quite difficult. And he had been through a similar situation where he had been hired into a company. His mentor eventually had to leave, and he relied upon that person a lot, and had that experience of losing that person in the day-to-day, you know? And because I had that conversation with him, and he was able to explain, look, I've been through it, here's what to expect, here's how you can get over it, it's going to be fine, I was fine, you'll be fine. It made it a lot easier. Now, you might have gotten to this point of be thinking, well, Matt, like, I found a network and there's nobody interested in my growth. Maybe you just happen to be in that town where nobody gives a shit. It's possible. Or maybe you've joined a company where, unfortunately, the culture's resulted in nobody having spare time to support you, and if they do have time, it just happens that, you know, there isn't anybody that's a good fit for you. And you're right, I mean, sometimes you can just get a bad hand. You can be unlucky. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can book me in for a meeting, and I'll get you moving in the right direction. Now, this has to be limited because I can't just deal with hundreds or even thousands of people. There is going to be a hard limit once my calendar fills out. So if that's something that will benefit you, reach out. But basically what we're building here is you got a network of people, you've got a mentor. With these two things, you've kind of got the job security of the fact that you've got people you can fall back on if your current place doesn't work out. And within your current place, you've got the person who can help you because they've probably faced the problems that you're encountering. You know, I don't know how to progress in my language skills. I need to be better at my patterns. What would you recommend in the context of this company? Now, this person is going to be limited. If it's me, then I don't work at your company. I can't give you the specifics, the ins and outs of your business knowledge and the architecture of your system, right? I mean, you could try and explain it, but that would take up a lot of time. So one of the most powerful things that you can do that will work in lieu of these two things is build strong relationships in the office. Now, I'm going to quote Jordan Peterson here. One of his rules is like, assume that the other person knows something that you don't. One of the games that you should play is look at the people you work with, find each person's strength. Everybody's got like maybe you're the guy that people come to for UI tasks. You're the person that people come to for API work or DevOps work, you name it, right? Everybody has that little thing that they feel like they excel in, right? Go around the office and just be like, you probably already know this just by looking at the task board and seeing what people are working on. And just the way that they speak about them in stand-ups, you can probably tell when somebody's excited about something and when they're not. Get an idea of like, that's the architecture guy, that's the UI guy. Once you've done that, you're going to be a lot more valuable to the company. And let me explain this. So there is a good reason for you to spend hours or days diving into a new part of the code base, trying to learn it inside out so that you can resolve a problem, right? Because that learning is going to mean that you're going to have a depth that will carry forwards. But if you're always that person, especially when you're new, who's spending a lot of time to do something that other people could do quite quickly, Unfortunately, businesses are outcome oriented. They don't want to hear that, you know, you're a better software engineer, but, you know, the deadline is now, we're way past the deadline and they're going to have to delay a product. If you've got the list of people with their strengths, go to them, speak to them. When you have that task where it's like, this is a new area, have a chat with whoever you think would be best suited to it before you start. Because they might just straight from the gun be like, oh, yeah, no, I remember working on that exact piece. I do remember there was a problem on this line in this class, and you go to it, change it, and it immediately works, and you've done what otherwise would have been like an 8-hour task in seconds. Once you get good at synthesizing people, and it might be, you might even not just go to one person, you might go to 3 different people who have different expertises that link together, you'll probably find that that method of problem solving is a lot faster than trying from scratch with no context. And lastly, I mean, this isn't going to help you outperform, but it is going to make your life better. You spend most hours at work. Most of your living hours are going to be spent in an office or working from home, working with your colleagues, right? You may as well have some kind of relationship with these people. You know, I go cycling with some of my colleagues. I go bouldering with another group. I play video games after work with a couple of people that I work with. These are people that I have a laugh with, and I'm not just having a laugh outside of work, I'm having a laugh with them at work, and it just makes the whole thing enjoyable. Your career doesn't have to be this thing where you get in, put your head down, don't speak to anybody and leave. You can enjoy work. This is a pretty good workflow, but fundamentally, if you're starting that new job, or you're getting that new promotion, or you're starting entirely fresh, I've actually got this video here where I walk you through what is difficult about starting. And I mean, even if you're part way through a job, that video is going to be useful because you may have missed some of these things. I hope this video has helped.